So let's bring in now legal analyst and trial attorney Misty Marris. Misty, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, pretty bizarre case here. We just heard from Ruby Frankie. Just first of all, what is your reaction to the statement that she made today in court?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's gone along with her narrative ever since arrests were made that Hillenbrand, this was the other mom influencer that she had the YouTube channel with, was really the mastermind, and that she was wrapped up in Hillenbrand almost in a cult-like way. And so it doesn't surprise me to hear that she's referencing that aspect, that she had fallen into this area where she was being influenced by somebody else to believe all of these other things. So not surprised to hear it. It's really in line with what we've heard from her before.
And what do you think? Are you surprised at all about this sentencing up to 60 years in state prison? Because up to 60 was the maximum sentence.
Yeah, so up to 60, though, this is the interesting part. And again, it speaks to what Ruby Frankie is actually saying in the courtroom. So Utah has an interesting structure, statutory structure when it comes to sentencing. It's called intermediate sentencing, and it's 4 to 60 years. So that's because she pled guilty to 4 counts, 4 second-degree felonies, and the judge said that they would be served consecutively. So that means the minimum is 4. However, this is really important. The parole board can be tapped in after those 4 years and make an assessment about potential early release. So again, I do think the narrative of being under the control of the other individual, that will come into play when that parole board hearing ultimately comes to fruition. And that happens at least after 1 year into serving the sentence. So there's more to come with respect to this sentence. It's a bit more complicated than what we heard in the courtroom.
And is there any case potentially here for either of these women when it comes to a potential appeal?
Well, now that they've pled guilty, there's no appealing the guilt phase. So since they pled guilty, that's off the table. The sentencing, it would be possible, but unlikely to be successful, because this sentence was right in what's called the sentencing guidelines for this level of a felony, the 4 to 60 years. So while it is that maximum range, it is likely to be upheld because it falls right within where the judge has discretion.
All right, yeah, and that guilty plea then took an appeal off of the table. Misty, I have you here. I want to talk about another case that so many people are focused on right now. Of course, talking about this missing little girl in Texas, 11-year-old Audrey Cunningham. There is a man in custody. How do authorities right now navigate talking to him, because he's in custody, but he is a person of interest, but arrested on an unrelated charge?
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely unrelated. They say that he is lightly cooperating, but of course, it's the same as with any police investigation or interrogation. He's in custody. To the extent that he's cooperative, that's okay. However, if he were to ask for an attorney, the questions would immediately have to cease, as the threshold is when someone's in custody. So even though it's unrelated, it's a fine line for law enforcement to toe when questioning about an unrelated case.
And I know that this is, such a sensitive case. There's a lot of things to navigate here. If investigators are right now building a case against Don McDougal, he's the man who's in custody, how is that happening without knowing this little girl's whereabouts?
That's really the difficult part. So right now, the backpack that was found is the best piece of evidence. And I imagine right now, what's happening is they're piecing together any and all information that they have. We know that this individual was identified because he is allegedly the last person to have seen her. And so my gut is that the investigation is trying to backtrack, trying to build an analysis of where she could be in her whereabouts. But look, it does not have to necessarily. We've seen many cases where someone has not been found and an arrest has been made. So it just depends on what evidence is gathered during the course of this investigation, whether or not there's enough for a separate arrest and subsequent indictment on this case.
Yeah, we'll certainly see what happens. Hopefully, Audrey will be found safe. Misty Marris, as always, thank you.
Thank you.